Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So today I wanted to pop on here and just make a pretty quick video about how Shiv Roy illustrates a really interesting point I've been thinking about when it comes to radically conservative women. And so we'll get to that larger point in a little bit, but first we have to zero in on Shiv and see how politics affects everything that comes in her arc. And for me at least, the first thing I notice when it comes to season 1 is that while she's actually getting to participate in the world of liberal politics that she seemingly wants to be such a part of, she is simultaneously constantly ridiculed for her name and her net worth. And I think for a lot of people, including Shiv, especially anybody that hasn't done any sort of genuine, deep self-work, that sort of liberal fodder about eat the rich or whatever it may be, even when it comes to her race in conversations that she has with Lisa, those things that might be meant to be taken more at face value or about the system at large, you're obviously going to completely take to heart. And I think we see Shiv in this kind of inescapable environment where the Roy name makes it so that she's not really allowed to sort of blend into any liberal world in the way that she, fully wants to. And I think one of the reasons why she can't do any of that deep work is because she's still so entrenched in the patriarchal world of her male-dominated family. And not only just being entrenched in it itself, she is still constantly vying for the support and approval of her father, specifically in that he sees her as a legitimate professional individual, whether that be in politics or in the family business. And so she finds herself at sort of a crossroads, and although she isn't really making the decision herself, despite what she likes to say, she decides to choose the world that every single man in her life is a part of. Her father, her brothers, and her husband. And obviously, a ton of controversies end up happening while she's at Waystar, including the fact that her brother ends up endorsing the incredibly radically conservative Jared Mencken. And although she herself is genuinely afraid of him and upset at his rising to power at the behest of her brother, especially because he in the family is probably her closest confidant, once we get to season 4, her actions have allowed him to come into power too, specifically because of how afraid she was to get out of the business. And why wouldn't she be? Because when she actually did, she obviously felt like both worlds were against her, getting this larger class ridicule from people in the political world, while at the same time getting told by her family that not only is she a phony, but that she's a traitor as well. And so when she finally does make the decision to switch sides and come over, they use her lack of experience against her without giving her any experience. And so I said that her actions allowed someone like Jared Mencken to come into power. And I think that is where we sort of start to broaden things up and talk about how Shiv really utilizes herself as the token woman in a lot of the, Waystar scandals. Well, I'm a woman, and I think it's okay to cover up this sexual assault for my dad. I'm a woman, and I think it's okay to take down other women, because we're pitted against each other as threats. We see Shiv become a kind of pick-me girl on a pathological level, and I think this is sort of where, you can draw a lot of broader conclusions about how conservative women work. It seems to me like a lot of rich white conservative women are in similar positions as someone like Shiv, where they seemingly have no other option than to be this incredibly vocal minority for a group that has no better interests for them than all the other women they're trying to take down. They're all sort of stuck in this similar battle of male approval, where said male approval wins out over any chance to become something different. Think about the amount of women that were, active parts of the hippie movement, and then once they're the ones with money, they're the ones with stable households, they decide to, completely, quote-unquote, forget everything they learned. I'm not sure if they forgot everything they learned. I think they realized that they became who they were fighting against, or they always were who they were fighting against, and they don't know how to reconcile with that. So instead of reconciling it, they use that anger and propel it towards minority groups through this sort of veil of conservatism, when that's not actually what they believed at all. Some of this might seem like it's a defense of this kind of philosophy, and I really don't mean for it to be at all. I just think that Shiv is a really interesting microcosm and sort of character study of what being in a position that I think a lot of people who have been marginalized for their entire lives, for whatever reason it may be, just really don't understand. And that's one of the things that I love about Succession as a whole is, it allows you to create a space where you can have some empathy for these people that genuinely don't deserve your empathy in the real world. And because of that, you can sort of have these larger, broader discussions about other groups that, you sort of quote unquote don't think deserve empathy, like a lot of radically conservative women. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Depending on when this comes out, I either have a Succession related video on the way or already out that'll be linked down in the description then. So make sure to check those out if you're interested in this. I have a lot more of these sort of smaller videos that I want to do in the future. So if you're interested in stuff like that, make sure to leave suggestions in the comments for anything you want me to talk about. Make sure you like, subscribe, maybe even ring the bell if you made it this far. I'm assuming you probably already have at this point, and I'll see you next time.